When you don't take up the practice of loving all the parts of you, the orphaned parts of you, the parts that are hidden, tucked away, or abandoned, may shout to wake you up. Fortunately, here, Joffre McClung shows us how to love our orphaned self. She guides you in a giant hug to your orphaned self. You'll connect with your higher and divine loving self to support you in being in a safe place while entering the cave of your orphaned self to heal any wounds, restore wholeness, love, and worthiness. Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Embody podcast, a show about remembering and embodying your true nature, inner wisdom, embodied healing, and self-love. My name is Candice Wu, and I'm a holistic healing facilitator, intuitive coach, and artist sharing my personal journey of vulnerability, offering meditations and guided healing support, and having co-creative conversations with healers and wellness practitioners from all over the world. You'll find a full podcast with Joffre McClung, a spiritual personal growth author, motivational speaker, and common sense advocate in her episode at candicewu.com/Joffre. That's Joffre. In that episode, she shows us self-love with sass, swagger, and a big laugh. She talks about her story of how she had done everything to have a good life and hit rock bottom at age 29, and about how you can embrace your nemesis to love yourself more deeply. So without further ado, here's Joffre with her experience of embracing your orphaned self.
I'm going to be taking you on a meditation to your safe, loving space. We're going to invite in your higher self, and then we're going to meet your orphaned one, the forgotten one, the one you may have shunned. Close your eyes, and let's take 3 deep, long breaths with long exhale out. And I want you to continue taking long, deep breaths, relaxing your body, and clearing your mind of all thoughts. And then I'm going to be counting you down some steps. And when we reach level 10, you'll be in your safe, loving space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Relax every muscle in your body. 7, 8, going deeper. 9, 10. Now I want you to look around and see your safe space around you. Perhaps it's nature, or perhaps it's a building or a temple. Wherever it is your safe space where you can do anything, be anything, express anything with harm to none. If you're outdoors, are there trees? Is it the mountains or a beach or even a cave? Whatever you need it to be, it is your safe space. If it's a building, is it soft, smooth, or is it rough? Are there windows? Notice what's around your safe space. Perhaps there's a brook nearby, or perhaps a waterfall, or perhaps a large river making wonderful sounds near you. What's under your feet? Is it grass? Or perhaps it's stone or brick or gravel? What sort of light is in your safe space? Are lights coming through the tops of the trees, bouncing around on the ground? Perhaps there's a moonlight. Perhaps there's bright sunshine. Perhaps there's candles if you're in a building. Wherever you are, it is your safe space where no harm can come to you and only love and nurturing. And I want you to start adding loving images to this safe space. Images that evoke a feeling of love in your heart. If you're outdoors, perhaps it's a tree that branches reach down and embrace you in a giant hug, letting you know that you're cared for and that you are mattered. Perhaps it's loving light coming through the trees, dancing around you. Perhaps it's flowers popping up around your feet, lifting you gently off the ground. Perhaps you lay down on the ground and you feel it rise and lower like a pregnant mother's belly, letting you know that you're cared for and that you're safe. Whatever image it is, allow it to give you a feeling of love. Perhaps it's a pet that licks your face or purrs against your legs. Perhaps it's wild animals lolling around or laying across you, gently loving you, caring for you. Perhaps it's light coming through the windows of your building, dancing around you, gold, white, pink, blue, silver lights dancing all around you, letting you know that you're cared for and you're seen. Make this your safe, loving space. Perhaps it's beings, perhaps it's guides, perhaps it's angels. Whatever you need to feel loved and cared for is coming into your safe space now. And then I want you to look off into the distance, and I want you to see a golden orb moving towards you. It's beautiful golden orb. And it's getting closer and closer, and you're actually feeling a bit excited by seeing this golden orb, knowing it's a gift for you, that it's for you. And then all of a sudden, the golden orb is in front of you, as large as you are. Now I want you to reach your hand into that golden orb, and I want you to take another hand inside that orb. And I want you to gently pull that hand outward, and out of the orb steps your higher self. This divine part of yourself that has all the knowledge and power of the divine love. This higher self that has your back, that loves you unconditionally, just the way you are. Perhaps you see a being in front of you, or perhaps you just get a feeling of this higher self. Perhaps it's a gentle breeze across your cheek, that when it touches your cheek, you feel loved, even for just a second. Perhaps it's a pair of eyes that look deep into your eyes, twinkling with delight and joy to be looking into your eyes. Perhaps you feel a gentle hand on your back. Or perhaps you feel arms wrapped around you, giving you a warm, deep, loving hug. However you need this higher self to present itself to you, allow them to do it in a manner that's appropriate for you, that feels loving and safe to you. And then I want you to allow this higher self to take your hand and to gently start to nudge you down the left path of your safe, loving space. Now, it's a path that perhaps you've never gone down before, or perhaps you have gone down this path. But your higher self is taking you down this path that is still part of your loving space, but to a different area. So follow your higher self down this path. And notice what's under your feet. Perhaps it's changed. Perhaps it's stones now, or brick, or gravel. Your higher self looks at you and gently squeezes your hand, letting you know you're going to be safe wherever they take you. And you trust this. And you keep following your higher self. And you climb to the top of the hill. And when you reach the top of the hill, you look down the other side of the hill and you notice a cave entrance. And again, your higher self squeezes your hand, letting you know you can do this. They have your back and that you will be safe and cared for. For this cave is where your orphan is living. And it's time to meet this orphan, this one that you have forgotten, or perhaps shunned, or perhaps safely put away so it would not be hurt anymore. So your higher self leads you down the hill towards the entrance to this cave. And now you find yourself at the entrance of the cave, and I want you to take a moment. And I want you to listen to what's coming out of the cave. Are there any sounds? Perhaps there's crying coming out of the cave. Perhaps there's shouting and screaming. Maybe there's a gentle whimpering coming out of the cave. Or perhaps there's no sound at all. There's just an emptiness. And now your higher self's going to guide you into the cave to meet the appropriate orphan that's been waiting to meet you, that needs to meet you, that needs to be heard, to be listened to, being allowed to tell their story, share their pain, so that you can bring them back to wholeness through compassionate understanding and love. Now there's many rooms in this cave, and you notice all the different rooms, but your higher self has one particular room they're taking you to. So you follow your higher self to this room. Now as you enter the room, it may be slightly dark, but you can still see around the room. And I want you to look around the room and find your orphan. Perhaps it's dirty and filthy and uncared for, living in the cave and crawled into a corner, staring at you. Perhaps it has its back to you, refusing to notice you, refusing to acknowledge you. Perhaps it's standing in the middle of the room, shouting at you, having a tantrum, full of anger and rage at you. Or perhaps it's huddled in a little corner, in a fetal position, unable to move. However you need to see this orphan, allow it to be the way it needs to be. This is the first line of compassion understanding you're going to practice with this orphan, is allowing it to be the way it needs to be. So I want you to take a moment and introduce yourself to this orphan in a gentle, caring way. Let it know that you are its future self, and that you've lived, and that now you're here to help it live, and to let go of the past, and to be made whole again, and to let it know that it no longer needs to be in charge, that it now has you and your higher self. And let it know you're sorry, that you have forgotten it, or shunned it, or tucked it away to be safe, that you just didn't know better, and that now you do. Perhaps you can gently touch your orphan, or perhaps you can't. Perhaps an orphan runs and crawls into your lap. Perhaps the orphan refuses to look at you. Whatever way the orphan needs to be, allow it to be, and keep letting it know that you love it, and you care for it, and you will be back as many times as you need to allow it to tell its story, to gain trust in you, to share its pain with you, so that you can help it to be made whole again. And that you will be back. And thank it for allowing you to visit it and be with it. And again, apologize for not having cared for it before now. And then gently ask your higher self to offer some love to this orphan. And then allow your higher self to offer love to this orphan in the manner it needs to receive its love. Perhaps it runs to your higher self and allows it to be hugged. Or perhaps your higher self puts a globe around the orphan to let it know it's protected and safe from harm. Perhaps your higher self puts angels all around it to let it know it's cared for and nurtured. Allow your higher self to offer love to this orphan now. And then thank your higher self for its love. And once again, thank your orphan for allowing it to visit. And remind it you will be back. And it's safe until you return, because it has the love of your higher self. So take your higher self's hand. Allow your higher self to help you leave the cave now, knowing your orphan is safe and cared for until you return. So the higher self leads you back to your safe, loving space now. And now it's time to allow your higher self to offer love to you in the manner that you need to receive the love. Perhaps it is a gentle hug. Or perhaps it's a hand upon your heart, allowing your higher self to take the pain you may have picked up from your orphan out of your heart. In whatever manner you need it, allow your higher self to offer you some love and nurturing now. And then thank your higher self for their love. And let them know you'll be back to be with them again. So they can teach you what love should be like and what love should feel like. That's perfect for you. And then thank yourself. Take a moment and thank yourself for taking the time to go within and to do this work. By being self-appreciative and having self-gratitude helps you grow in your sense of self-love. Now I'm going to be counting you out of your safe, loving space, but know that you're coming out of it with a lot more than what you came into it with. And that stuff, that good stuff that the higher self put into you through their love, will be with you throughout the day. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly open your eyes and know you've begun your orphan work, and you will find your way back to self-love. Have a joyful day.
As you slowly make your way back to your space here today, the present moment, I hope you enjoyed this experiential with Joffre, and be sure to check out her full episode at candicewu.com/Joffre. And feel free to connect with other healing experientials, guided meditations, and tools for self-love at candicewu.com/podcast. See you next time on the Embody podcast.